Good morning, friends. Welcome to Take Two for this Monday, the 8th of July, 2019. I hope you're having a really terrific day and had a great weekend. It was a long one for a lot of you. Well, I'd like to share a couple thoughts with you quickly this morning, and the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is the fact that we had just been up north and we hadn't been there in a while, and we saw some people that we had not seen. Certain areas, of course, we've been up there a lot, but some areas we saw some folks we had not seen in a good while. And while we were there, we had time with them and that sort of thing, and a lot of them had not seen me since I let my hair go back to its natural color. So many people remember me this way. Okay, this is me, blonde. This is about 15 years ago. Michael and I had portraits done. A few things have changed. Michael's beard was dark too, but there I am with my blonde hair back in the day. Now, I was blonde for a very long time, so you could well imagine that the people just in the recent years, when I let it go back to its natural color, it's a whole different thing because they hadn't seen me. And the common thing was, wow, look at you, that color looks good on you. Oh my, when did you change your color? And this is the color that the good Lord gave me. Well, except for maybe touching up a little gray now and again, this is basically my natural hair color. So I want to stop and say, my goodness, do you even know me? If you really knew me, you'd know this is the color that I've had all my life until I started doing this to it and making it blonde. But for people who hadn't seen me in a while, I could understand where they would think that. I started thinking about a story that I'd heard many years ago about this little man. He was a widowed man who lived on a simple street in a simple neighborhood in a simple little town in America. And he lived by himself, and he for the most part, was shut in the house. And he would get his meals delivered in from different places and that kind of thing. But he just kept to himself. And certain strange rumors started floating around the city and around the town that weird little hermit who lived down the street and that kind of thing. And unbeknownst to them, he was living there by himself and keeping to himself and living very simply. But when he passed away, the truth came out about this little man, and that was this. He was a multi-millionaire, but he was living very simply. And he would give the majority of his wealth away on a regular monthly basis. And then when he passed and his will was looked at, it turned out that he had given his millions of dollars, divided it among several benevolent organizations. He had wells and orphanages built in third world countries where he was giving to different missions organizations. Not only that, but he also gave to the different shelters for animals, and he also gave to several children's hospitals and research for AIDS and cancer, a number of different very, very reputable and very worthwhile causes. That's where this man's money went to. And he left a little note that he scribbled, because he actually got sick. An ambulance came, they took him to the hospital, and he passed very quickly. But before he was dying, he scribbled a little note and handed it to the nurse. And she had this little note, and it said, I did all the things I did, meaning giving away his money, simply because it was the right thing to do. And I thought, wow, for all the people in his neighborhood who never bothered getting to know him, they would have seen what a really terrific human being he was. He could have lived in a mansion with servants, but rather he lived simply so that he could give his wealth to worthwhile causes. I am just impressed by that. I really, truly am. But the thing that really went on in my mind was people did not know him. They didn't know him. The same way some people thought I was always a blonde, they did not know me. They didn't really know that this was my real hair color. Now, that's no big deal. I could have brown, blonde, or purple hair. That doesn't make a difference. What I want people to know is me, the real me. Now, I know I have some bad things I say and do sometimes, like all of us, but my heart, I try really, really hard to make sure that my heart is pure, my motive is pure in the things that I do. I want to remain generous and kind. I want to remain loving. I want to be a prayerful person. That's what I want to be. So if you assume things about people, stop for just a moment and say, now how is it that I'm making these assumptions or that I'm making these conclusions when I might not really know them? So I'm not saying to get up in everybody's business. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is before you make conclusions about anybody or anything, make sure you really know what you're talking about. That little man could have had a whole bunch of visitors, people getting to know him, but rather he lived simply, did what he had to do, and then died by himself in that hospital. Now, I know that's a little bit of a sad story, but I do know this. If people had the time to get to know him, they would have been all the richer for it. So, somebody that you want to know a little bit better, but maybe you're a little shy, or maybe you've heard rumors about them that aren't true or have no basis, before you do any concluding, make sure that you do your own homework and really get to know them. Now go be a blessing to somebody today. You may end up being the only one who is. Okay? Don't forget to also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, JeanneSigler. And let me tell you something. You watch those old past take twos, you will really get to know me. Okay? And I hope it's good what you come to your conclusions about. And also don't forget, great music, great programming. Everything you want to hear with these ears of yours is on WRMZ.org. Click the listen button, okay? All right, y'all. Have a great Monday. Have a great week, okay? And if it's time for you to get to know somebody so you could go be a blessing, don't delay. Do it now, okay? I love you. I'll see y'all tomorrow.